But there's one more area, right, between resistance and insubordination, and I believe that this other area is disrespect. You got someone that's throwing comments at you. You got someone that's undermining you. You got someone that's making you look bad. When you demand respect, you lose respect. So when someone's being disrespectful to you and you just demand respect from them, their respect for you doesn't go up. But if you were to say, let's debrief. I got a question the other day about how to handle insubordination. How do I handle insubordination? And I think as you go to answer that question, you actually have to think through some things. You have to think about this. What is insubordination? What does that mean? Is it, oh, they're not following my instructions? Is it that they're asking some pointed questions? Is it some level of sabotage that you can see happening? I think you have to clarify what you mean by insubordination, because when we hear the word insubordination, when I hear the word insubordination, what we think of is some outright mutinous behavior or just defiant rebellion, right? Let me ask you this: when you hear the word insubordination, you're not thinking, you're thinking something pretty extreme, right?
UCMJ violation,
right?
Yeah, this is a major deal,
and I think that type of insubordination doesn't really happen that often. I mean, it just doesn't really happen that often. I think most of the time when people use the word insubordination, what's really happening is what I said earlier. Maybe, someone's not following instructions exactly. Maybe someone's asking questions in a group, where it's like, why are we doing this? That type of thing. And I don't think that's insubordination. I think that's resistance. I think that's what I'm going to call resistance, which I think is a normal thing that's going to happen to you as a leader. There will be resistance from your team. You have to expect it. You have to embrace it. And when I feel that type of resistance, I have to think to myself, guess what? I'm getting this resistance because of me. It's my fault. That's what's actually happening. I haven't explained something correctly. There's some part of this that they don't understand or that I haven't explained well. There's why am I having a problem convincing them of the plan? Why? That's got to be on me. Why can't I communicate properly? Why haven't I built a better relationship with this individual? Are they giving me this resistance because I've become too familiar? Do I have a relationship that's too close? Have I become a friend instead of a leader? So all those things require me to ask myself, okay, what mistake did I make and how can I fix it? How do I fix it? Do I build a better relationship? Or if I've got too close of a relationship, do I slowly reinstate boundaries? If I feel like they are not buying into the plan, do I let them come up with a plan? So they get buy-in. If they're not understanding my communications, how do I make my communications more simple and clear? So all those things are my fault, and all those things are a way to stop and that's that attitude, that resistance is what I think people often refer to as insubordination. Now, like you said, if you're talking, uncontrollable terror inside your team, then you have to take actions to discipline and remove them. This isn't even really that much of a question, right? If you've got someone that is insubordinate, then you need to discipline them, and you need to counsel them, and you need to remove them. Either they fix themselves or you remove. You need to escalate the escalation of counseling very quickly. Okay, in the SEAL teams, for example, it is very seldom that someone gets kicked out of the SEAL teams for insubordination. I mean, I can think of maybe one or two examples in my whole career. Bad behavior, yes, but bad behavior that they did something stupid and they would come back and apologize. They weren't insubordinate, they just did something stupid. Very seldom would someone actually have straight up insubordination. But there's one more area, right, between resistance and insubordination. And I believe that this other area is disrespect. Right now we have another area of disrespect. You got someone that's throwing comments at you. You got someone that's undermining you. You got someone that's making you look bad. So, and I think that can be mistaken for straight up insubordination. Yo, who the hell's Babin think he is? You know, trying to call me out and it's right in front of everyone. Like that, team guys would do dumb things to each other. Like, it's dumb, and sometimes they could be disrespectful. And if someone's sensitive, that can sting somebody. I'm just thinking of for some reason I thought of vehicles. We're always doing dumb things in vehicles. But like, let's say you had one of your guys, and they're going to pick you up, at a restaurant, or pick you up in front of the barracks. And so, they're sitting there waiting for you. You walk up and they pull ahead a little bit. You walk up to the door again, they pull it. Right? That could be, you're joking around, cool. But there could be a level of hostility there that actually makes that disrespectful. So we can have situations where people are being disrespectful, and you have to address it. Now, once again, as we just talked about, when we address it, the initial approach shouldn't be an attack. I mean, to start out with, you better stop disrespecting me. If that's where you start, you can win that tactical battle, right? You can, that person might, roger that, sir. Where do you end up though? You end up, when you demand respect, you lose respect. When you demand respect, you lose respect. So when someone's being disrespectful to you and you just demand respect from them, their respect for you doesn't go up. But if you were to say, hey, listen, man, obviously I must not be doing something right because I respect you and I respect your experience, but I'm not feeling any mutual respect back in my direction, and I'm thinking there must be something I'm doing wrong. What do I need to do different that I can earn your respect? That approach is going to be infinitely better than you better just give me respect. And then when they respond to you, to your first, to the first topic that you brought up today, when you ask them what you can do better, when you ask them for feedback, you better listen to it. You listen to it. Nod your head, listen, and then actually make adjustments. Whatever that thing is. Now, is there a dichotomy here? Can we go too far with this? Yeah. Am I sitting here saying, hey, you can just let people walk all over you? No, absolutely not. You have to listen to them, but you got to be confident. You got to take things on board. And then once you've taken these things on board, you've got to see if you can actually start building a relationship. If they start to come in your direction, or do you have an actual bad apple, right? Which you can have a bad apple. And if you have a bad apple, then you start the escalation of counseling and you either win them over or you have to get rid of them. And what's interesting about this, and you've referred to me multiple times in this particular topic. We'll know a guy who is a SEAL who maybe got in trouble, a troublemaker, a problem causer. And you've said to me like, hey, Jocko, if that guy worked for you, this wouldn't have happened. And I actually have documented cases where I had guys that actually worked for me that were freaking awesome guys, would do absolutely anything I asked them to do, were totally professional in training, totally professional in combat. And when they worked for me, they were freaking awesome. And then they worked for someone else and they would get in trouble. And I had pretty significant punishment administered to these individuals. And that means that leader, instead of developing a relationship and trying to make adjustments and trying to get them on board and showing respect, they didn't do that.
Those particular individuals you're talking about too. We were talking about very strong-willed people who are default aggressive, and they're not. I don't have time for someone that they see as a weak leader they don't respect. So, yeah, I reacting extremely poorly. And what you're talking about is just de-escalating the situation.
Totally de-escalating.
Whereas if you demand respect, you're escalating that situation versus actually let's de-escalate. I'm thinking about that as you're saying it, and we have to correct this misperception all the time. And I think a lot of people, when I hear those kind of comments from leaders that we work with, which happens a lot, they think that in the military, it's just a bunch of Terminator robots. They're going to just carry out orders and do exactly what you say with no pushback whatsoever. And so they don't know how to react to that. Like, well, they just need to do what I say, rather than, okay, they're human beings, so I need to actually explain it to them. And if you can turn that around, I mean, that's the power of extreme ownership, and recognize, okay, I need to do something better to actually get the person on board. One of the things I've learned from you is, like, when somebody's complaining, you should actually listen to them. And it's amazing how you can either defeat their arguments if you're complaining to me and you're just saying something totally off the wall that makes no sense whatsoever, then I can very easily explain why we shouldn't do that, or maybe I don't think it's the right call for the team. And I mean, I should be able to make that very obvious if it is that obvious. But also you might be bringing up something that's, and very often is the case, you're bringing up some very valid points. And even if you just give me 3 points and one of them is valid, at least now like, I'm listening to you. You leave that conversation with, like, well, finally, like, they understand, what I bring to the table. So it feeds your ego, and I can make some little small change or minuscule thing that can help you.
It's crazy, but I'm sure there's someone thinking, yeah, but sometimes you gotta just, and I'm oddly enough, I'm trying to think through I was only in for 20 years. I'm trying to think through all those years of the times that I just had to, get rid of somebody because they were insubordinate or they were disrespectful or whatever you want to call it. Someone that I couldn't get through to get them on board. And I can't think of any. I think the number is 0. So try a little bit harder. If you're just a horrible mindset, you could say, oh, you see, Jocko doesn't even know what the hell he's doing. I should have been the one that should be promoted. Or you could see it as, oh, now Jocko thinks he's just going to make me run everything. It's like both those are opposite attitudes. They're both equally bad. But the other part is literally what you're talking about, overcoming a grudge, which is this exact thing.